Rev up your engines!
Well, General Motors has bought back over half of their Buick dealerships. There's 2,000 Buick dealers around, and about half of them, GM bought them out because they said, we don't want to sell electric cars. Of course, you can't force someone to sell electric cars, right? Now, before you think, oh, poor Buick, poor Buick. Look, they only make 3 models of cars, and they're all SUVs. That's all they got left in Buick. The Enclave, the Encore, GX, and Envision. Right? And half of these things are made in China. Anyway, and the ones that are left, they're like, I'm not going to put a whole bunch of money into learning how to fix electric cars and all that stuff. It might fail, and then I'll lose all my money, right? So instead, GM is paying the money and saying, okay, you're not a Buick dealer anymore, right? I guess they're going to try pushing a bunch of electric Buicks. I'm sure eventually they'll all come from China, right? It looks like a bigger demise than it is, because Buick only makes 3 vehicles anyways that they sell in the United States. It's pretty much an extinct brand anyways, but this just shows even the dealerships are saying, no, we don't want to get involved in this electric car stuff because we think people aren't going to buy them. They don't want to have to train guys, buy the tools, set up electric charging stations to sell and fix electric cars. They don't see it as being profitable. They don't have to throw their own money in because, of course, GM, Buick, that doesn't come to them. GM owns Buick, of course. There's no real Buick company anyways. Hasn't been for ages. They just call them Buick. They're all GM. And GM doesn't say to the dealers, here's a bunch of money to make electric cars, sales and repairs. No, the dealers have to pay for that themselves. So half of them are saying no, and GM has bought them out. 937 Benji 253 says, I got an 05 Buick. It shuts off after I start it and turn it back on. I held the key down longer. It starts and shuts right off. Then I start it and it comes on. I had an engine code that said EGR valve. Light went out after 2 days. Also, my AC doesn't work. The compressor doesn't engage. Okay, well, there's millions of reasons your car can start, stop, and then restart. Vacuum leaks, all kinds of things. Weak fuel pump, you name it. Bad fuel injectors, tons of things. But you did have the code for the EGR valve. And on Buicks, the EGR valves are notorious that they'll get bits of carbon built up and stuck inside the pintle. So they're partly open. And if your EGR valve is partly open, it will suck too much air, and then the engine will stall, especially when it's cold, when you start it up. Once you warm it up, it doesn't affect it all that much, right? So first, check the EGR valve. You just unbolt it, look, and if the pindle's stuck with a piece of carbon, take it apart and clean it. It's a very common thing. Now, as for your AC compressor not coming on, there's also scores of reasons your AC may not work. But the thing's what? It's 19 years old. Often you're just low on refrigerant. Have somebody put a set of gauges on. If you're low on refrigerants, fill it back up and it'll probably start working again. You can get a small leak, maybe it'll leak out in a year or 2 or 3. So just first, if it's low, fill it up, and if it works, see how long it lasts. If it lasts for years, just keep filling it back up as it leaks out. Pray it's not like a locked up compressor or something like that. That you can test real easy. Just get yourself a socket and a wrench, put it on front of the air conditioner in the middle bolt. And if you can't turn it, it's locked up, and then the compressor's shot, and forget it. You're going to have to replace the compressor and probably a whole bunch of other parts to fix it correctly. D-Vault says, I got an 03 Toyota Sequoia. What is a good starter replacement motor? What should I buy? Okay, of course, OEM is best, right? Now, the problem is, generally with Toyota, if you go OEM on a starter, you're getting a remanufactured, not a new one. Because Toyota actually has places that remanufacture them and then sell them. And they're relatively expensive at that, right? In my experience, you go to a junkyard, those starters can last a long time, right? You get a used one, it still might have years and years and years of life left. You're going to save a ton of money. But if you want something better, my advice is, and you don't want to spend a fortune on the OEM one that isn't even new, it's rebuilt. If you look around, I have gotten starters that were made in China that lasted more than 10 years. And they're only, maybe sometimes they're like $130 or something like that. Don't go buy one that's like $29.95. That'll be a piece of crap. But if you pay $100 or more, these Chinese brand new ones, I've had very good luck with. You can get them on Amazon, eBay, whatever you want. I personally like Amazon because they have a very good return and refund policy if there's any kind of problems, right? If you're in a hurry, you can go to auto parts stores, right? And in that case, if you are going to go to an auto parts store, say you go to AutoZone, buy their top of the line starter that comes with a lifetime warranty. Don't buy the one that has a 1-year warranty. Buy it with a lifetime warranty, because then even if it breaks, you get another one free forever. There's nothing wrong with that. And in your Sequoia, it's pretty simple. There's only 2 bolts holding the stupid thing on. NVR2Next says, I have a hybrid system malfunction. Thanks for helping us out. I've got a 2013 Toyota Prius. I was involved in a minor fender bender. I rear-ended someone. After the accident, I turned off the car. There were no warning lights. But I started getting, the next day, a hybrid system failure error on the dash. Opened the hood, noticed the front hood, pinched the air filter housing, had a hole in it. I'm wondering if this could trigger that. Okay, well, fix the hole, of course. If there is just a hole, it's just where it got hit. Before you go out and buy expensive parts, just put some Gorilla Tape, black duct tape, whatever, over it and cover it up to see if that helps it and reset it. Because I doubt if that's your problem. You get a hybrid system problem. The hybrid system is the high voltage system. And even a minor wreck, there are so many wires on that thing, it's probably damaged the wiring system. That's one thing that I warn people about. If you own a hybrid car, you better absolutely, positively have full coverage, collision, everything. Because even a fender bender like that could do thousands and thousands of dollars of damage to the car. And if you have, say, a plug-in hybrid with a big battery on the bottom, if you dent and break that battery, then you're definitely looking at multi thousands of dollars. That's why if you do drive a hybrid, plug-in, or an electric car, you have to have full coverage, or you're just playing in a crap game and you're going to roll snake eyes one day when you get in a wreck, regardless of whose fault it is, and your car's going to be going bye-bye because it's going to cost so much money to fix it, it'll make your head spin. Often they're totaled. I've seen hybrid cars get in a wreck that, say, if it was in my Toyota Matrix, might have been $1,200 of damage. They total the car if it's a plug-in hybrid or a full electric car. So always keep full insurance. If you're going to own one of those cars, you're going to have to take it to an expert with hybrid cars and have them check it out. Pray. Maybe it just knocked a wire off or broke a relay or something. But I can just about guarantee it's done something to the electronic system. Well, you really wonder what's going on in old Elon Musk's head? Well, now he's axing Disney's streaming service from a bunch of the Teslas, kind of as revenge, because they decided we're not going to advertise with your X, the old Twitter. They said they're pulling their advertising from this political nonsense that goes on between all these companies. They don't like what he says. He doesn't like what they're doing. And I mean, but it shows what a baby the guy is. Geez, it's a business, right? And if people have paid for the streaming service or whatever, if it was free, they had the Disney streaming service on their Teslas, and now it's gone. Does this guy understand he runs a business? And if people bought something, they expect it to work. The whole setup of Tesla's a scumbaggery the whole way. Like a guy that came over here the other day, he bought a brand new Model 3 dual motor. He wanted the extra speed. So he had to pay $2,000. And then they just turned the software on his car. It wasn't like they had to change the hardware of the software. It was already all built into the car. But he had to pay $2,000 in order to be able to access it, so it went faster. Can you imagine? You buy a car for 50-something grand, and then you got to pay an extra $2,000 so that it gets everything that it already has built into it. Hey, well, you know what I say? People out there, if any of these other companies try this stuff, don't buy them. GM thought they were going to make billions on software crap like that. Guess what? They're finding out people aren't going to pay for it. They will buy somebody else's car, and I don't blame them. Hey, like I tell people, look at all the problems that the Korean car makers have, right? Things, engines blowing up, transmissions blowing up. Do you want to get involved in that crap? No. And you know how you avoid it? Don't buy one of their cars. It's simple, really. Well, when they say they don't make them like they used to, that's really true for Mercedes-Benz. Check this out. This is a guy in England, and he says, Mercedes has refused to pay for repair in my rusty car. Now, here's the interesting thing. Mercedes making these cars, and they rust out. Mercedes-Benz models are prone to corroded and perforated subframes. These essentially attach the axle and suspension to the main frame. When they fail big time. In the United States, Mercedes has increased the length of its warranty. In the UK, it's handing out no liability goodwill payments to some repairers. So the English are mad because in the United States, they actually extended the warranty for this rust. The original U.S. warranty was 5 years or 50,000 miles, which is a pretty crappy warranty for rust, right? Now it's 20 years and unlimited mileage. Now back in the day, when I started working on cars, Mercedes-Benz were like Panzer tanks. They were solid. They didn't rust. They just ran and ran and ran. But of course, Like everybody else, they make them cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And this British guy, a bunch of guys in England, they're mad because they say, you're giving them 20 years and unlimited mileage in the United States to fix the rust. Where over here, you just decide, oh, here's $3,500, go away. Right? And not to everybody, just to a few people. I guess they figure, well, England's so small, who gives a crap about that market? The American market, of course, is gigantic, and they want to keep all the rich Americans happy, right? But they don't care about the Brits. Guy writes a letter to Mercedes, said, how come you're not fixing my car? And here's what they sent him back. I quote, the Mercedes-Benz brand has always stood for safety and quality. But they're not going to fix it for him, right? Standing in what you actually do is another thing. They say they stand for quality, but in reality, they aren't. Heck, they admit it in the United States, and they're given 20 years or unlimited mileage if they rust through. They are modern Mercedes-Benzes, right? Most of them aren't running 20 years from now. If they're that old, they're probably in a junkyard anyway. You think Mercedes makes quality? Guess again, and they're really sticking it to the Brits. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.